This is the last of the two final criteriums at the Triad Criterium series. So we are going to jump right in. This race was actually done on the 14th of September. So we have one race after this, and we'll see what happens, right? So here we go. Here we are at the start, and you can tell the sun's already low. Some of these races are starting to roll into the dark, and so you'll see right here at the beginning of this race, I'm jumping right off the front. So my teammates and I, there's three of us in the race this time, which is great. So once again, myself, Cat 3, another teammate who just upgraded from a 4 to a 3, and another teammate, I think also he just upgraded from a 4 to a 3 also. There's three of us Cat 3s in this Cat 3-4 race. And what we've been noticing at these races lately is the first few laps kind of start out a little tame, and sometimes I will also throw in, I'll do this race and I'll also do the 1-2-3 race afterwards. And the 1-2-3 races, man, once these guys go, they just go. There's none of this chilling out or anything like this. So our teammates, we sat down before the race, sort of built a little plan of attack here. Since I'm not a sprinter, we opted to have one of my teammates act as a lead out and the other guy kind of be the one we wanted to get across the line. So what I do here is I just take off at the very beginning and start throwing down. And I know the rest of the teams out there, they know I'm a threat. I'm one of the top people in points in the series, and they hopefully will start come after me. And I figure, well, if they don't come after me, then I'll get a solo break, and that's perfectly fine as well. So here I am taking off. I'm trying to average. My goal is to try to average around 26 miles an hour. I do go a little bit too hard. Unfortunately, it's when I have my computer on in these crits, I don't really look at anything except the time and the speed. I don't look at my heart rate. I don't look at my power because it tends to psych myself out sometimes. So I have hung out here for 6 laps, and they are finally catching up to me. Been doing 28 miles an hour through a lot of these sections, just been hitting it hard. My heart rate's pretty high. Usually my max is around mid to high 170s if I'm really well rested, and they are catching me. So through here, I am not going to let them get on the wheel, so you can kind of see me swerving back and forth a little bit, but they've pretty much got me. And I put in one last dig here coming up this hill, and maybe I should have gone even harder just to see if they would actually chase. There's been many times where people come really close to catching a break, and then they never quite get there, and it keeps going. But I do shut it down once I realize I've been caught. And once again, the usual suspects are here at the race. We've got about 6 people from the Trek Benissimo team. I think about 4 from Cycles d'Oro. The Trek Benissimos in the blue kits, Cycles d'Oro's in the red, and then we've got, a sprinkling of other independent racers on the in the race as well. Honestly, a lot of these races are really just coming down between the 3 of us teams, the Gigawatt Cycling Group, and Cycles d'Oro and Trek, and we are all in contention for the points in the series. And once again, I've talked about in the other videos, my team is not quite as concerned with points in the series, but just about getting on the podium. That's our goal, and we always try to sort of formulate a little bit of a plan to try and make that happen one way or the other. And we have just been going in this race. I mean, we're 10 laps in and doing 30 plus miles an hour, and this is, this was a great race. We are all just flying. Things are kicking off from the very beginning. High speeds. It's how you like it to be, right? We've had a number of attacks. The field has been stretched out, strung out for quite a bit of this race. It may have bunched up a few times. Here's one of the few occasions that it is bunched up. But you can see my heart rate is still going pretty good. In the mid to high 160s, which is That's up there for me. I'm more of a diesel engine, never been too high of a heart rate guy. I know some guys that hit 200 no problem in their in their 40s and 50s even. So I have two teammates up in the front. I see them starting to mount an attack. So I come off up the left side here to try and get up in the front so I can help block if I need to. So here I go, and I am bringing down my power and letting these people try and come around me. So that way we can try to create that gap and get that break forming. And at this point, we've got pretty good representation in that break. And the question is anybody going to come around me and attack on it? And it looks like they do. They want to catch that. They want to chase that down. So I go ahead and I come with it, and we start opening up quite a decent gap behind us as well. You can see in the Camry there, it's just a few of us coming along. But this break is pretty large. At this point, I'm thinking it's probably not going to amount to anything, and of course, the field does eventually all come back together here. And also, I want to mention at this point in the race, we've already had a few dropped riders. I think we had about 3 or 4 people either drop out of the race or just get lapped and kind of continue with it. So that's how hard we were going up front. And don't see that a lot in these races where you get that many people that just call it quits or get lapped. So here comes another attack off the front by my teammate, and he just drills it, man. Just a real great place of attack. I've talked about that spot before, and he and I have talked about it. He's always told me this is a great place to attack, so he just goes off the front hard, and I'm not going to try and work to go catch him. I'll get a free wheel if I can. So I stay on these guys' wheels, and if they want to drag me up to my teammate, I'll take it. And they do. And the field is pretty well strung out. You can see in the rear camera there's a pretty sizable gap forming as well. But my teammate kind of shuts it down through here, and I go ahead and do my one counter attack that I do in this race. So here's my counter to his attack. My heart rate was starting to come down a little bit. I started feeling a little bit better. So I counter, and I hit it pretty good. And of course, you can see my teammate. He's trying to block for me back in the rear camera there. He's probably not doing a whole lot of work back there. And I'll see if I can get something to happen, right? Once again, this is the end of the season. Those of you who know me, I am traditionally a mountain bike rider. I didn't really start racing the road bike until maybe 1 or 2 seasons ago with COVID. So last season, the COVID season, I raced a little bit of the road, but mostly mountain bike. And then before that, I raced some Cat 4-5 stuff, got upgraded the year before COVID. But really enjoy the road cycling. Used to hate it and started training more and more on the road to improve my skills on the mountain bike, to improve my fitness, and just really started enjoying it a lot more and really loving these crits, of course. And for most of you who live here in the United States, that's pretty much all there is to race anyway. Not a lot of big road races, at least not in the Southeast, that's for sure. It's all Criteriums. So this is where it's at for sure. But you can see the group caught me. So that attack didn't do a whole lot, but maybe it made some people tired. Hopefully that helped do some of that, and gave an opportunity for somebody else to counterattack. And here it goes. So there goes Cycles d'Oro, and here goes Trek Benissimo to go catch that. And look who else is coming, is my teammate, and that's what I want to see. And there we go. So now we have every team represented up in that group up there. And you can already see, here comes the Cycles d'Oro guys. Here comes the Trek guys. They're all coming up to the front with the hope that they are going to slow this race down and try to let that break get away. and I'm not going to help chase it down, that's for sure. So they only have a small gap at the moment. It's a little questionable. The Cycles d'Oro guys did come on pretty hard, but I think they realized that maybe we shouldn't attack here, so they are starting to slow it down. They're controlling that field, and Trek is also controlling that field, and that eventually is going to be our break. So you can see they're finally starting to go up the road a bit, and we are slowing it down. I'm coasting right now, and this is the fast section of the course. Usually, hitting 27 to 30 is pretty typical through here, and it is slowing down quite a bit. So now we've got representation in the break. Nobody's going to work to go catch that. That rear group catches us right here on lap 29. So that front breakaway, that breakaway that you had earlier, they catch us right here coming up this hill. And so I'm putting in a dig here, not realizing that the break was catching us because I'm trying to catch a guy that went up the road to make sure that thing wasn't going to go anywhere. But they have actually latched on to the very back, which is great news. And you'll eventually see my teammate who was in that group come on up. So here comes my two teammates. The one in the front was with the, of course, original group, and the second one you see there on the left, that's my teammate who made it in the break. And so before this race started, we basically planned to have the current teammate who's up in the front to lead him out. But in any case, the plan is for sure for him to be the lead out man. I'm pretty toast, not really good for a whole lot, and just hoping to hang in here and maybe get, top 10 or something like that if I'm lucky. So we are all back together though, and the way these work is if there is a break that laps the field, essentially it's fair game. I mean, there used to be rules, I think, surrounding, if you have a teammate that lapped the field and came back in the group that you couldn't help them, and some certain rules surrounding that back in the day. I've heard different stories, really don't know exactly what it is, but at least with these series of races, you can pretty much do what you want. So it's completely legal for my teammate to help lead out the other teammate who made it in the break and lapped the field. So our plan pretty much at this point is to make sure my teammates get as much rest as possible, right? I want those two guys to work as little as possible, so I'm getting up front here. I'm going to pull for a little bit and give them a break, make sure they're well rested and ready for the sprint, because essentially it's going to come down to the 4 guys that were in the break. They're going to want to sprint against one another, and then you're also going to have in combination with that the field sprint from those of us who weren't in the break for 5th through however many people originally registered for this race. And if you were in that break, it doesn't matter who you get let out by, whether it's one of your own teammates that you lapped or one of the other guys that was lapped. You try to find any wheel you can to get that draft and to slingshot you across that finish line. But, I'm just pulling right now at a tempo pace. My heart rate's really not that high. My teammates are in the back resting, and we're pretty much going to do this up until, the last little bit of the race here. All right, so we're down here to the last 2 laps of the race, and Trek and Cycles d'Oro, they start pulling ahead of me here. I've been leading for about a lap and a half, and they are starting to line things up. They want to get their teammates across that finish line. Remember, Trek, their strategy is really to go after as many points as possible in the series. They're all about that, and that sort of determines their strategy. Cycles d'Oro, not 100% sure on their strategy. We just kind of focused on Trek because they always have the most riders in these races. We're always lucky if we have 2 or 3. Trek usually has 5 to 6 people, so they have a deep field, a lot of power too that they can rely on. And Trek really just picks it up hard. In fact, they pick it up so hard. I mean, we're doing 31 miles an hour, 32 here through this headwind. And Trek and Cycles Duro just really, really hammer it here. And I almost thought that this was the last lap. They were hitting it so hard. I mean, I'm doing 500, 600 watts up here. And I'm thinking, man, I thought we had another lap to go. And we do. Not sure if you heard it in the video, but that was the bell, and they are just going. I mean, going, going, going. And so my two teammates are getting up front. They're doing the job that they need to be doing, and I am just hanging on to the back here. My heart rate is getting up there. You know, I actually had a rest week before this race, but didn't really do any riding before this. I probably should have gotten a workout the Monday before, but I didn't. And, you know, even though I'm coming off several days of rest, just not feeling the greatest, but that's okay because, you know, my two teammates, they're doing well. They're racing well. And, you know, can't always do it all, right? So here we go. I mean, they are hammering it down here, 32 miles an hour into that headwind. I'm doing 600 watts just to try and get something up there. And I am so far behind, it's not going to really matter much anyway, but my teammate does a beautiful lead out for my other teammate, and he ends up taking the win on the podium. Tune in for the race this weekend. I'm going to be racing the North Carolina State Championship Road Race. You still can sign up. If you haven't signed up for it, please do that. Please come out and support the race. You need to. We need to grow the community as much as possible here in North Carolina. And also, I will be posting the video on that race. It probably won't be near as exciting as a crit. I don't have a lot of experience in road races, but we do have 4 of us, I think, in that race, in the Category 3 race. So we have very good expectations for that race. And we'll see how that goes. And then I've got the race coming up next Tuesday at the Herbalife, and that'll be the end of that Triad Criterium series. And then finally, the big Winston-Salem race, Saturday and Sunday, coming up. I think, let's see, what date is that? That's the weekend of the 25th and 26th. So there'll be back-to-back Category 3 criteriums. I'll be racing both of those. So really appreciate the time. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.